Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you so much. We will now move to the introduction of our Credentials Committee. Our co-chairs, Ryan Ramirez and Hilda Solis. As you know, they are friends of all of ours. Both Ryan Ramirez and Supervisor Solis have done an amazing job leading this Credentials Committee. Please welcome them and please thank them for their terrific work as they present the Credentials Committee report.
Thank you, sir. Bonjour, Niji. Hello, my friends. Good morning, Democrats. My name is Ryan Ramirez, and I, alongside Hilda Solis, we chair the DNC's Credentials Committee. This is, the last Credentials Committee meeting for Hilda, so if we could give her a big round of applause and a thank you. Thank you. That's extremely well-deserved. The only matter of business before the Credentials Committee since our last meeting was the 2024 challenge to the seating of the Alabama's 3 elected DNC members for the 2024-2028 term. The last time we met, the DNC voted to temporarily seat Charlie Statton, Donna Foster, and Joe M. Reed of Alabama for the purpose of participating in the 2025 winter meeting, with the understanding that the state party intended to hold an election to permanently fill the seats at the state committee meeting in April of 2025. On August 14th, the Credentials Committee met to consider the state party's elections held on April 26, 2025. I'll turn it over to co-chair Solis to provide a report on the determination made at our August 14th meeting. Miigwech.
Thank you. Buenos dias. Good morning to everyone. Thank you also, Co-Chair Ramirez, and to our Executive Committee, and also to the Credential Committee members. At our August 14th meeting, after reviewing the party's written submissions and hearing testimony, the Credentials Committee determined that the elections of the 2 DNC members with the closest vote margins were not valid due to concerns about the composition of the electorate and the method of tabulating votes, both of which could have affected the outcomes of the elections. The committee adopted a resolution requiring the Alabama Democratic Party to hold new elections for these 2 seats within 90 days, which would include the following: a process to identify, investigate, and correct all discrepancies in the state committee member list, including membership status and eligibility, a list of vacancies to be filled by the state committee, which must be provided to members at least 14 days before the meeting at which the vacancies will be filled, notice that it is designed to inform the state committee and the public of all pertinent information concerning the DNC member elections and other aspects of the meeting, including but not limited to the date, the time, the place, and agenda of the meeting, and it must be distributed in a manner designed to ensure that notice reaches all interested parties. The distribution of an up-to-date list of all eligible voting state committee members to all DNC member candidates and at least 14 days before the DNC member elections. The committee woman and the committee chairperson elections must be conducted by a roll call vote conducted by paper ballot, with each voter's name and signature on that ballot. And a representative of the challengers must be permitted to observe ballot tabulation, and a representative of the DNC must be permitted to conduct the tabulation. In the meantime, the Credentials Committee recommends that the DNC temporarily seat these 2 members, Donna Foster and Joe M. Reed, for the purposes of the August meeting. With regard to the election of Charlie Statton as committeeman, the committee determined that the irregularities raised by the challengers could not have affected the outcome of an election with a 55-vote margin, and recommends that the DNC permanently seat Mr. Stanton at the DNC as a DNC committeeman for Alabama for the period of 2024 through 2028 term. The resolution has been provided to you for reference. With that, Mr. Chair, I move adoption of the report. Thank you.
The report has been moved by the committee. It does not require a second since it is a committee report. At this point, we will move into any discussion on the committee report. Yes, a point of inquiry right there. Delegate over at microphone 1. If we could have the microphone folks just stand in the aisle. There you go. Thank you. Selena Vickers from the great state of West Virginia. Selena?
Thank you, sir. I have a parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
If this resolution fails, it's my understanding that the 3 challenged people would not be seated for this meeting, and that the issue would go to the Credentials Committee for another recommendation. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I would like to speak.
And you're speaking against the committee report, correct, Selena?
Yes. Is this
Yes.
a correct
This
time
is
to do that?
Yes, it is, correct.
Okay. Chair Martin, and if somebody could give me a 1 minute,
You have up to
here for 2 minutes.
You have up to 2 minutes, and Helen's keeping track, so she'll let me go.
Tell me at 1 minute.
Okay.
All right. Chair Martin, I'm voting no on this resolution. My journey into party politics ran through Alabama. Pretty much everything that I learned about the Democratic Party rules, about fairness and inclusion and diversity, came from attending credential and RBC meetings related to Alabama challenges. For those that don't know, there is a very long history of allegations of unfair elections in the Alabama State Party. There is also a long history of temporarily seating challenged members. On February 1, when we last met, we approved a resolution that condemned the election of the challenged members and instructed a fair election. A fair election was not held, and now we are again considering temporary seating. And I want to point out a few things in our charter and bylaws that we require: an affirmative action program that provides for the representation of certain historically underrepresented groups, and a commitment to full participation, by which all includes
That's
all,
1 minute, but you can keep going.
Thank you. Effective notice of elections. During the civil rights movement, the work of Dr. King and Fannie Lou Hamer, that's where these rules came from. And we had a policy that was adopted about the 6 elements of an open party. It is our obligation to the people of Alabama to allow them to have a process of fair elections and to build a party that can win elections. And this is no disrespect to anybody at all. I just think it's very important. We owe the people of Alabama to not continue to kick this issue down the road. So I'm voting no on this. I encourage people who have no clue what I'm talking about to abstain. And if this vote is no, if that wins, it'll go to credentials for another option. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. There is one speech against. Are there any speeches in favor? There's a delegate at microphone 1 here, or another speech against is fine. Another speech? Any other speeches or discussion at this point? Delegate, please state your name and your territory and for what purpose you rise.
Joe Reed from Alabama. Joe Reed from Alabama. And I rise and speak to this body as a victim of a Credentials Committee report. And I urge this body to vote against it. Alabama has had some issues in electing individuals, but not because there's some corruption or something like that. We have disgruntled individuals who have been in charge of the party who are no longer in charge of the party. And with their friends and allies, they complain about everything that happens during an election. The Credentials Committee did not find that Alabama bylaws were violated. There was never a factual finding that DNC bylaws were violated. There was a discrepancy of 12 people who should not have been seated. And I think everybody in here can add 12 people. Out of the 12 people that were challenged, 8 were factually debunked as not being able to, for being where they're supposed to be. 8 people were knocked out of that challenge. There were 4 that were left to be questioned. My particular victory was of 25 votes. So even if you add the 12 people that were challenged, 25 votes exceeds that. Anyone who can add that. If the election itself is bad and corrupt, then how does Charlie Statton get seated and nobody else does? Okay? If the election is bad, okay? Think that through. If you got an election, 3 races in that election, same criteria, same group, same everything, nothing changes in that election. Charlie Statton wins by 55 votes, he's seated. I win by 25 votes, I'm not seated, with only 4 votes questionable. I said questionable now, all right? Not they're invalid, but questionable, okay? There are politics up here that are being played that are quite frankly offensive to people in Alabama, and we're trying to keep a party together. But the division being stoked by people who don't win at the state level and then run to the DNC to get their friends to override what happens.
Time.
The DNC committee is involved in the management of the Alabama Democratic Party, and that's a bridge too far.
Time.
And if they're going to do it for Alabama, they'll do it to anybody here in this room.
Thank you.
I urge everybody to vote no on this one, send it back to the credentials for the new credentials committee to look at this, and we'll deal with it at that level.
Thank you, delegates. Is there any other discussion on the Credentials Committee report? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Yes. Delegate here, if you could come to the aisle. If you want to speak to any resolution or anything from the floor, please come to the aisle, and there'll be a person there with a microphone. The delegate from North Carolina.
Good morning, Matt Hughes from North Carolina. I would join Selena Vickers in urging folks to vote against the resolution today. I believe strongly that how we win elections and govern our party shows how we want to govern America. And when people feel excluded, when the process is imperfect, we must do redos. I believe that that is emphatic, something that is important to the Democratic Party. I believe that it is something that we must hold ourselves accountable to. And I actually agree with most of the resolution, but I think it could use some additional work. And I think that if we're going to talk about election security and other things, and what the Republicans are doing, then we have to be willing to hold ourselves to that same standard. And admit when we are not doing things correctly, because we know the other side does not do that. They would sweep it under the rug and take another look at something else. So those are my comments.
Thank you. We've exhausted all the speeches against. Are there any speeches for the Credentials Committee report? Seeing none, I'll call it 3 times. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote. Just a reminder, per our charter, if you are any of the challenged parties to this report, you're not allowed by DNC charters and rules to actually vote on this report. So if you're not named in this credentials report, then you are allowed to vote. At this point, we're going to go to a voice vote. All those in favor of the credentials report as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. Okay. I'm gonna rule that the ayes have it. How? Okay. Someone called for a division, so what we're going to do, thank you, Howard Chow called for a division. So what we'll do is we'll do a visual division here. I'm going to ask folks to raise their badges, okay? If you are in favor of the credentials report, is to raise your badge, and what we'll do, we will have people count all those in favor, so just go ahead and raise your badge. Yes, point of order is raised. If you have a proxy, what you need to do is raise 2 hands, okay? 2 hands, and we'll be able to determine from there, okay? and then we will call for abstentions at the end. We will count people first in favor. If you have two proxies, if you have one proxy, I should say, raise both of your hands, and then we will count those, and then we will go to the no votes, and then we will go to the abstentions. Again, if you're in favor of the credentials report as presented, if we could have order, please. Order. Please raise your hand, your badge, and then raise a hand in addition if you have a proxy. Okay, if someone from the team can let me know if we've counted all of the yes votes. Okay, keep your hands raised. Okay. Do we have a... Okay. If all the people who raise their hands for yes could put your badges and hands down, we do have the count there. If you are now opposed, it's the same thing. Raise your badge, and if you have a proxy, go ahead and raise an additional hand. Okay? I think it's better.
But it just means they don't get to, they're not going to get to vote. I mean, well, and the kind of compromise was to let them vote. And if it fails, it just means they're not going to be able to be here. We've been over backwards for them, and so God bless them. Because there were plenty of folks who wanted to, clearly, Alabama's been here enough, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, if folks could, from the team, could let me know if we have the no votes. Do we have all the no votes? Do we have all the no votes? Team, do we have all the no votes? Can someone give me a... Yes. Okay. Please put your badges down if you're a no vote in your hands. The last thing we'll call for is any abstentions. Any abstentions, raise a badge or a hand if you have a proxy. Raise your, any abstentions? Okay, do we have all the abstentions? Do we have all the abstentions? Okay, you can put your hands down if we have the abstentions and just give us a moment for the team to give me the results here. Hey, Sham. Okay. Just give us one moment. Thanks for your patience. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, and thanks for your patience. The results are as follows. Yes votes had 138 and no had 163, so the motion to accept the credentials report has failed. So at this point, this will go back to the Credentials Committee, of course. The three individuals who were mentioned in this will not be seated for the purpose of this meeting, but the Credentials Committee will take this matter up again. I do want to thank the committee and, of course, the co-chairs for their deliberation on this. Please again thank Chair Hilda Solis and Chair Ryan Ramirez for all their work on this. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Good morning, Democrats. What a morning it already is.